Okay. So, it's kind of late for me to be starting a live. I usually don't start this late, even though sometimes I stay on this late. I usually start around 9 or 10, but um, I said that I was going to go live tonight, and I wanted to make sure that I did because I'm trying to be more consistent with my posting and hold myself accountable and practice what I preach to everybody else who I tell to make videos all the time. So I was planning on having somebody on here with me tonight, but then that person was not available anymore. So I think I'll have somebody on with me tomorrow night and the night after that. But I haven't been on here for two days. Or no, I wasn't on here yesterday. And now I'm back today. And um, I'm streaming on 5 different platforms: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Rumble. So, whatever platform you're watching me on, please go find me on the other platforms and subscribe or follow. And make sure you like the videos and interact with them if you want to see them more. And if you want to make sure that the things I'm talking about get out to a wider audience, I need to have interaction with my videos. So, um, anyway, if you don't know who I am, my name is Catherine Vitale. I am a former candidate for Boston City Council, and I ran last year, and hopefully, God willing, I'll be running again next year. I've been an activist for 3 years. I am a homeschooling mom for 3 years now, it's been. And I have been working on political campaigns since 2020. And now I am the state director of the Massachusetts chapter of Blexit. And I'm also working on the Boston for Trump campaign. And I have a couple other projects that I'm working on. I try to just get involved in and get connected with as many local people as possible so that we can get Massachusetts to a better place than where it is right now. So tonight, what I wanted to talk about is activism. So if you can see the title or the description, depending on which platform you're watching me on, I named it Republicans, Why You're Not Winning. Because I'm hoping that title would attract more people to hear the conversation than if I use the word activism. Because for some reason, a lot of people, especially conservative or like right wing people, don't like the word activism. It's another one of those buzzwords that is more of a leftist thing, right? So, and that definitely throws a good amount of conservatives off of my content because every introduction I give of myself is by saying I'm an activist. And people look at that as like not a commendable thing sometimes, I guess. Or, that they just look down upon people who refer to themselves as activists, or they look at it like it's a democratic thing or a left wing thing or whatever. And I didn't call myself an activist up until like fairly recently, like maybe last year, uh, maybe just about a year ago. And I didn't set out to be an activist. It wasn't a plan. It just happened. And I think that that's how most, or if not all, activists become activists because, you feel passionate about some issue or another, and, you feel like you need to do something to speak up or to support or oppose something that's happening, likely local, right? And you go for it. And, if you are somebody like me, it doesn't stop with the first issue because once you are, advocating for the first issue, you network and you meet people and you learn about the next issue that's going to bother you. And then the next one, and then the next one. And then it's to the point where I'm, me, probably like most other activists in the world, I like almost every single issue is something that I want to have a conversation about. So I don't even have an issue or two or five. Like, it's just everything now. Everything needs to be talked about. It's that important and it's dire. So when, we have states like Massachusetts, which is a blue state, right? Considered like deep blue state. We could never flip Massachusetts red, which I don't believe that. People tend to give up, be discouraged, move to a different state, a red state, because they think that there's no hope here, that, there's no way that we could ever get away from like democratic rule here. This is another one of those uncomfortable conversations that people don't like to have. And if you try to have it a lot, people just like reject it, don't want to talk to you, don't invite you to their next event. They get offended. So that's why I figured I should come on here and talk about it. And you can be offended behind your screen, I guess. So I don't think it's any secret that, myself and a lot of other people have completely lost faith in the GOP, the Massachusetts GOP as a whole. I had no faith from the beginning when I started getting involved in 2020 because of the political campaign that I was working on and the way that candidate was completely shunned from the entire party. And so, I just kept track of the things that were happening and watching how situations were handled and candidates were handled and the lack of candidates and the lack of action that anybody in the entire party was taking throughout the past 4 years, to the point where, and I've been unenrolled independent since I registered to vote when I was 18 years old. So I've never been enrolled in a party, and I was never planning on being enrolled in a party. And I still, do not have any real like belief in the two-party system, because I think it's just a setup, just like everything else, to make us have an illusion of there being two sides and always somebody to disagree with, when we shouldn't be paying attention to the politicians and the political establishment. We're not paying attention to them because we're arguing with the person right next to us because they are on the other side. So I don't really care for either party. However, because Mass left leaning, because not only did they not do anything, but even if like something was standing right in front of their face for them to pick up and run with, they ran away from it. So, and now it's been a little bit of time that they've been under new leadership, and I still haven't really seen anything. So, we just saw the state committee races in March, and I had made a post about that because it was absolutely ridiculous. I didn't know that state committee people are voted for every 4 years. I didn't know how any of that works because I've never belonged to a party. So I was like, learning as things were happening. And on the day of the presidential primary, when I found out like state committee is something that gets voted on every 4 years. And I saw the lack of candidates and the lack of even conversation about state committee elections throughout the entire 4 years. I never even heard about this up until maybe like 2 months before the election. And I've never, I've been very out loud conservative for 4 years and living in Boston for the entire time. So, it's like the state committee people's jobs to scope out people and recruit people. Whether it's recruiting people to run for office, recruiting people to start committees, recruiting people to join committees, like whatever, so I never knew who my state committee people were up until the election, that it's been the same people for the past 4 years. And then, even still, I've never heard from these people. I've never seen these people. They actually were at the same event that I was at on Saturday. Still haven't met them. I didn't we just never crossed paths at the event that we were at on Saturday. And I see them post pictures in all other places in Massachusetts. And I've never heard from them. And so I've made some posts about myself and Sean Nelson being the only two conservative candidates for Boston City Council last year. And, you could have the argument of local government is not partisan, city council is nonpartisan, so the party can't back you when you're in a nonpartisan race. Bullshit. Okay. Because one of the city councilors at large, Ruthie Louis-Jean, her campaign signs last year said Democrat on them. Nobody said anything about that. The Democratic Machine and the Democratic Socialists and all of these groups that subscribe and belong to the party are helping all of the other city council candidates. So where's the GOP for local elections, even when they're nonpartisan? Even if they can't actually support people, so don't do it as the GOP. Where are you people? Why did me and Sean not ever get contacted or approached by anybody from the party at all? We had help from one person who belongs to the GOP. That's it. Other than random words of support or maybe a small donation here or there. There were, people that donated to us and people who spread the word. So thankful for that. But nobody that actually holds a position in the party reached out to us. And that's crazy because that doesn't at all sound like anybody who wants to win anything, right? Because when you look at the Democrats, it doesn't matter who is running, they're going to back them. If they need to win a seat, they're going to get behind whoever they recruit or whoever steps up. That's what they do. No matter what, they back their people. Over here on the right side. Oh, so like I was saying, I've been unenrolled ever since. But, everybody knows that, where I stand, right? Anybody who knows me knows that I'm on the right side for the most part. So, 2 weeks ago, I changed my party and I enrolled in the Republican Party. So I am going to get involved with the GOP and I am going to make sure that people start doing some work. Because so many people still have faith in the parties that there's no escaping it, really, the way I see it. And it has to be utilized, right? So, people from outside of Boston and people from outside of Massachusetts always want to say to Republicans and conservatives in Boston and in Massachusetts, you get what you vote for or vote them out, right? Everybody's favorite thing is vote them out. Well, how can we vote somebody out if they have no opponent? Or even when they do have opponents, their opponents are Democrats. And there's hardly ever Republican candidates. And there's never Republican candidates in municipalities that always vote blue. Never. Because the Republican strategy is only run in places that you can win. So how do you ever intend to grow or take over or gain back control of anything if you're not having any presence in the places where you can't win? You have to figure out a way to win, right? So, hold on. So, aside from like all of the like the political part of it, which is basically what I've been talking about so far, the scary word, activism, right? It literally scares people away. So pretty much what we're doing that we're saying is fighting is we are complaining on the internet, complaining to each other in echo chambers at social gatherings, and then, you know, election time comes around and you see a bunch of random standouts, maybe a bunch of people on overpasses with Trump flags. And then election day comes and these machines are rigged and everything is cheating. Everything's a scam. None of it's real because we didn't win. What work did you do to win? Because political campaigning, first of all, that's activism. But it's not just to be done for like a month or two before the election. And it needs to include more than standing at an intersection with a sign and more than going to social gatherings with people who are already supporting you. There needs to be more than that. And this is something that I say when we're talking about activism in general, when it's, you know, not even about the party, when we're talking about all of these organizations who are fighting for all different types of issues, you know, right-wing issues. Everybody always wants to tell people to call their legislators and send an email to their legislators. We have these big organizations that have a website. You go to the website and one click and it sends an email to your legislator. And it's that simple. And you've done all the fighting that you need to do because you press a button and sent a generic email that 500 other people have already sent to your legislator. So you're done. You don't need to do anything else. This random organization will handle it from here. Thank you for fighting for our freedom. That's not fighting. Okay. Making phone calls to your legislators. That's not fighting. That is something that needs to be done. Don't get me wrong. You do need to call and email your legislators if you have time to do that. If that's what you feel like doing. Somebody needs to do it. Not going to be me, but somebody needs to do it. And you do need to show up at your local legislative meetings or your local municipal meetings and hearings and give testimonies. And that helps. Showing up, you know, is the first step. Because I don't know, honestly, what any of you think that you're doing sitting behind a screen, sending an email or making a phone call. And then you need to find other ways to make things happen. Like, you don't need to travel 3 towns over to go to a social event to talk to like-minded people because those are the only people you know that are like-minded, right? Why don't you get the voter list of your local area and then go knock the doors of the people who are registered Republicans or unenrolled in your neighborhood and see how much common ground you have with people? Or why don't you just go knock the doors of your neighbors, period, and see if they're even registered to vote? You may have a whole neighborhood full of conservative people who just don't vote because they haven't seen any, they don't think it's effective, or, whatever the case. There's tons of people in Massachusetts, and especially in Boston, that don't vote. People that are registered to vote and people that have not been registered to vote. So just interacting with people that you don't know and interacting with people that are not already in the echo chamber and in the circle of information that we're all in, that's something. That's something that needs to be done. And, us not leaving our circles and echo chambers is the exact reason why we're not winning anywhere, because we're not putting in any work. We're not forcing ourselves to have uncomfortable conversations. We're not knocking doors. We're not doing anything outside of our comfort zone. How do you expect to make anything happen if you just stay in your little comfortable life, with your comfortable friends and your comfortable areas, and you don't go outside of that? I don't know how anybody expects anything to happen. My phone was just recording every single thing that I just said and trying to send it into a text message. Um, yeah, so Tucker Carlson is going on a national tour in September, having live events, but even though he lives in Maine, he has no Northeast cities on his tour. We've been given up on. But this is another thing, right? No offense, but full offense kind of thing, because it sucks when you have to offend people, but the truth needs to be said. We have to be blunt. We have to be honest. So, and if that makes people walk away, then that sucks. But that's how it needs to be, because people need to be okay with hearing the honest truth, even if it's hard to hear, right? We have been given up on because we gave up on ourselves a long time ago. So we are failing here. And we can't blame Trump for not coming here with rallies. We can't blame Tucker Carlson for not coming here with events. We can't blame anybody at all but ourselves. Okay? We can't even blame the GOP leadership. We can't blame the people running things. We can't blame the elected officials at this point, because we are not doing the work that needs to be done. It's us. It's all. I can't even tell you how many times I've been in a situation where, multiple times actually, I've been introduced to somebody who lives in Massachusetts by somebody who doesn't live in Massachusetts, somebody who's active, somebody who's doing things locally in their area. And then when I meet these people or this person, I find out that we have many friends in common. And why weren't we connected? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like when I meet somebody, say in Gloucester, and they don't know anybody in Gloucester, but they want to be involved. They're not sure what to do. I'm like, Here, let me give you my contacts in Gloucester. I'll call this one right now and make sure that you guys are connected. I know this one does her potluck, once every month, and you can go to that. And this one has this event, and you can go to that, or somebody in Worcester. Okay, I have people in Worcester. I have the sex ed in schools people in Worcester. I have this group in Worcester. I can connect you with these people. Like, what's your hot topic issue? Because not only do I know people in the area, but I can connect you to the people who are concerned about the issue that you're concerned about, right? And that's what I try to do. Like, I try to put puzzle pieces together whenever I meet somebody. The first thing I ask anybody, if you're somebody who just met me at the rally on Saturday, first thing that I ask people when they come up to me is, where are you from? Where do you live? What's your like hot button issue? Because, let me figure out how I can connect you to where you're going to be useful. Right. And I'm like, why don't people think like that? Why don't people operate like that? Why, like, if I have a friend in, and why can't I think of like any Massachusetts cities or towns right now? If I have a friend in, somewhere far away, Pittsfield, Massachusetts, who knows other people in Boston, then how come you're not introducing us? How come you're not making sure that we get connected? Like, because that's what I do when when I meet somebody, find out where they're from, and I'm like, all right, let me introduce you to all the people I know there so that you can, get to work with them or whatever. And that's what needs to be done. People need to be connected. People need to be active. And you can meet people by doing simple things like standouts. Okay. Which, like, a lot of people aren't comfortable doing standouts, but then a lot of people think that standouts are like the be all end all of everything. Like, you show up to a standout and it's like, again, it's like the phone calls and the emails. Like, okay, I did my fighting. Like, no, that's not enough. As standouts are kind of like a recruiting tool, or that's how it should be used. So when you go to standouts, you should have your business cards on you. You should be ready to have conversations with people and get people's phone number so you can keep them connected with you when somebody beeps or pulls over or stops and says, like, how did you organize this? Like, how did you guys get together? What are you doing? Can I be involved? Whatever. Should be ready to take on new people when you do something like a standout or an overpass flag wave or whatever. Like, anytime you do something like this, it needs to be treated as like a task with a follow-up. And that's not how people operate. People do these things and it's just like a social event. Like, are you trying to do the work and actually accomplish something here? Or are you just trying to like have friends and hang out and complain all day about how much it sucks here? Like, everybody's leaving and you're probably going to leave too. Like, then I don't know why you're doing anything in the first place. Like, why complain? Like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Hold on. But yeah, so we can't blame anybody but ourselves because we're not doing the work. And then you have the people that do some work, but then they don't follow up the right way, or they just don't do it like effectively, right? So like that, if you're somebody who goes and shows up and speaks out at school committee meetings or local city council or town meetings or whatever like that, you need to bring a camera. You need to bring a friend. You need to make, if you're going to speak out or disrupt or, speak up against or for something, it needs to be known that it happened, right? Because you go there and you do it and you didn't take a video of it, or you're not going to go back on the recording from, said board or, municipality or whatever, and take a clip of when you spoke out, then nobody knows that it happened. Like, that's the thing. And then that's another thing where people like to complain about the fake news and the media and how they don't report at all, or they don't report accurately. Well, that's why we need to be our own media. We need to be equipped with it. I mean, most of us, if not all of us, are already equipped with a camera because we have one on our phones. And it's as simple as just taking out your camera and recording it, whatever you can get, and then posting it on social media. We need to be our own media, and posting and sharing and building a group of local people around you to do the work with you. Back in 2020, we literally had people, and when I say we, I mean like a very tiny group of, like, a handful of people, literally had people in 2020 reaching out to us saying, will you take a trip to the grocery store with me and, like, show me how to effectively go grocery shopping without a mask on? And, like, that might sound crazy, but that's what happened. And it's not crazy. Like, I am so glad that people, if they weren't comfortable doing it on their own, actually, had, like, the, I don't even know what the word, like, humility, or humbled themselves enough, like, to ask for help doing something that might sound a little bit silly, like, can you please help me walk through the grocery store? Like, I'm so glad that people did actually reach out and ask for people to help them with that, because otherwise they wouldn't have done it at all. And there's tons of people that didn't do it at all. There's tons of people. I mean, I have like 2,000 like connections on Facebook alone. And, my whole timeline throughout 2020, 2021 is all people posting memes and complaining throughout the entire pandemic, complaining about how stupid people look in their mask, complaining about having to wear a mask in the grocery store, complaining about all of it, making memes about lions, not sheep, and, making fun of the people wearing masks. But then when they go to the grocery store, they themselves are putting on the mask because they don't want to deal with confrontation. Like, I'll tell you right now, I am not a brave person. I have no more courage than anybody else. Okay. I had no idea what was going to happen or how anything was going to play out the first few times I went into mask on, but I knew that putting the mask on, I felt extremely violated and disgusted, and I didn't want to do it. So I just didn't do it. And I put my faith and my trust in God and said, like, whatever will be, will be. Like, this is in God's hands. Like, I have no idea if this is something that I can get, like, legally in trouble for. I had no idea first starting going to stores without a mask on. And it seems like when I talk about it, when some people hear me talk about it, it sounds like it's not that big of a deal. It's a huge deal, okay? Because and even still, people will say, it's not that big a deal, just put the mask on. Even people who are against masks, it's not that big a deal, just put the mask on. It's a huge deal. It's a very visual indicator of what percentage of the masses of people are going to comply with stupid orders because they're orders from the authoritarian government. So, that was like one of the most extremely important things that happened over the past 4 years is the masking in public places. And we failed, as a society, as a people, we failed. Because even the vast majority of people who were against it and who complained about it still put the mask on to avoid confrontation. So what are we doing? Yes, be your own media with your own phones and posting it up. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So, people look down on the word activism, people who say they're activists, people from the right side consider it like a left side thing. But the thing is that the left side wins though, right? So, um, like maybe we might want to take some pointers from them. And like these things need to be done, right? So if you're somebody watching right now, not commenting, because we know after the other couple of live streams I did this week, I repeatedly mentioned that I always have more viewers, way more viewers than I do commenters, which it's late for me tonight. So the viewer count is lower than it has been earlier this week, but still nobody's interacting in the comments, but thank you for the viewership. But if you're somebody that feels like triggered or offended and you're on the, you're a conservative or you're on the right wing, then like take that feeling like to a different place, right? Instead of feeling attacked or triggered, think about it. Like, what? Look at the last 4 years in Massachusetts. How many Republican candidates have you seen? How many recycled candidates do you see that lose year after year after year, election cycle after election cycle, and we just keep rinsing and repeating like the same people because nobody else steps up, nobody's recruiting anybody, nobody's trying to build the party. I mean, in Boston, we don't even have a ward committee for every ward. So that's a thing. And, anytime you go to a Republican event, it's all the same people, all the same speakers. And then, every once in a while, you'll see a brand new candidate that popped up seemingly out of nowhere. And they're like the little guy. And they have a little bank account. And the GOP is not promoting them. The, bigger known Republicans in the state are not talking about them. And they're like basically floundering in the water, trying to find their own volunteers and their own help. And, everybody's pretty much scrambling up until election day to try to run a successful campaign. And they lose because half the party thinks that they're a rhino. The other half thinks that, they will be an outcast of their social circles if they support them because the people that they socialize with think that they're a rhino. And it's just like, I won't support this person because they don't support Donald Trump, or I won't support this person because they're pro-choice, or I won't support this person. And it's like, that's why you don't win. That's why nobody wins. Because we, like the liberals and snowflakes that we complain about day in and day out and groupthink, we also have groupthink on the right side. And people also act as if you don't agree and align on 100% of the issues, then you got to go. So, I mean, if somebody is not a supporter of Donald Trump, but you agree with them on 95% of the issues that they stand for, you're just going to write that person off because they're not a supporter of Donald Trump. Okay. Somebody, it's like, if you want to be nitpicky in the situation where the party doesn't even recruit candidates, more often than not, we have multiple candidates for one primary and then no candidates for anything else. Multiple candidates for one seat in one primary and then no candidates for anything else on that ballot. Like in my district, I have 3 candidates to choose from for U.S. Senate, no candidate for U.S. Congress, no candidate for state rep, no candidate for state Senate, no candidate for anything else on the ballot, on the Republican ballot for my district. Because why? I don't know. And those 3 candidates for U.S. Senate on my ballot are like doing their own thing. Like none of them seem to be connected to the party or heavily supported by any Republican, groups or anything. So why? It's like anytime a candidate runs, they're like a Republican candidate. Anytime a Republican or conservative candidate runs, they're like made to have to fend for themselves and get no help or no support or not even like word of mouth, nothing. I mean, when I hear that, somebody is running, and, they share a lot of the same values as me and the people who I work with, then I'm contacting everybody that I know in their district. Like, this person's running. Can you help them with their campaign? I've done this multiple times, like trying to round up people that are in a particular district because I found out that there's a candidate for that district. So I'm like, how can I get this person help for their campaign? And I just don't understand why I don't know anybody else who does that. Like, there's nothing special about me. I don't have any special skills or it's common sense. I feel like to if you're going to complain 100% of the time about how things are in Massachusetts, then why are you not doing anything about it? I feel like I'm being redundant and repetitive. I wish that somebody would say something in the comments to give me another, point to make. And it's just it's frustrating. And people are like country club Republicans where, I don't understand. Like, why even be involved in politics if you don't think that activism plays a part in all of this? If you don't think that people should be, doing public demonstrations or protests or, direct type action and actually confronting elected officials or, making a scene or, disrupting a public meeting if need be. People look down on those things. With the post that I was talking about the other day, the viral post that I had on Twitter, there were a good handful of conservative accounts in my comments about my not the Trump hat one and the Trump hat one too, because the one before, the reason why the Trump hat one went viral was because it started with a post about my suspended license, me finding out that my license was suspended, which I am officially a licensed driver again. So I know that people are really concerned because I'm still getting comments of people asking me if I'm driving with a suspended license, and the answer is no. Oh, it's right here too. My temporary license. So it's official. I have my license back. Thank you. But people are in the comments, conservative accounts, Republican accounts, people whose account bios say MAGA, people whose account bios say pro-life, pro-2A, all the people who, anti-vaxxers, like people who are in line with my views, who agree with my stances on things, in my comments saying like that I'm an embarrassment, saying that, just saying I can't, of course, I'm not going to think me and dogging me just as bad as all of the liberals and socialists are dogging me. But dude, I would vote the exact same way that you would. So why are you helping to try to make me look bad when I'm one of two people in the city of Boston who is conservative and ran for local office last year? Like, I may not be like the smartest, the best, the most politically correct, the best looking, whatever. But nobody else is fucking doing it. Like, I'm trying here. And I have actual Republicans and conservatives dogging me in my comments for having a suspended license. And by the way, the license was suspended because of a money issue, because of unpaid tolls. So that's not even, it's not like I committed a crime. It's not like I have a bad driving record, because I don't at all. It's like I'm poor. So sometimes I get behind on my bills. And I didn't know that they suspend licenses over unpaid tickets. Okay. I thought that it was just a non-renewal thing. I've never had I've been behind on tickets and on tolls many times in my life, and I've never had my license suspended because of it. My license doesn't expire until 2027. So I thought that I was good on those bills until at least 2027 or whenever I could afford them. And I wasn't notified that my license was suspended, and that's why I was driving, because I had no idea. And the people in my comments who are Republicans and conservatives, it's just disgusting, the things that they say to me. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm making like an honest, decent effort to advance, what I see as like the more righteous side. And the people who are like supposedly on my side are saying the same things to me that the liberals and socialists are. So, I mean, you can have your jobs and have your money and have your suburbs and have your country clubs and your yacht clubs and your social clubs and all hang out with your rich friends and then complain about why we're not winning and why the party's not growing. Then not do anything about it. It's just a bunch of complaining. So, people need to be activists. People need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. People need to show up to their local city council meetings, to their town meetings, to their school committee meetings, whatever meetings there are, to their local, neighborhood councils. There's neighborhood councils and civic associations and neighborhood associations and all types of civically engaged groups of people who aren't elected officials that have regular meetings all the time in every municipality, I guarantee you. And you could be going to those meetings and finding like-minded people and even if not finding like-minded people, you could be speaking up and getting people to think, about the things that you're saying and pointing out. I couldn't tell you about how many conversations I've had with people who are on the left side of things, where they're like, they have one conversation with me and they're like, I don't understand, like, why you sound so logical. Like, why do I agree with you so much? Sorry for yelling. But yeah, so if you're too good to go stand outside with a sign, and you're too good to go confront an elected official, and you're too good to get on a video and look stupid for an hour to try to make a point, then you're never going to get anywhere. You need to put your pride aside. You need to stop worrying about your reputation. Maybe don't let your paycheck run your life. I know that's easy to say when I'm someone who doesn't have a paycheck. However, I have worked my entire life up until 2 years ago, and I hate not having a job as much as everybody thinks that I just love being on welfare and not being able to afford life. I don't. I hate it. I hate not working. I hate not being able to just spend money and not think about it like I used to, because I had a paycheck coming, so I could do that. And it sucks. However, I am not going to sell my soul. I am not going to put my children into an indoctrination center so that I could have a paycheck and have a more comfortable life. My children are fine. My children are well taken care of. My children are happy and healthy and perfect little human beings. Okay. And they have friends. They socialize. They go places all the time, probably more places than kids in school get to go. And they're learning all day, every day. Sorry, hold on. Sorry. So, my kids are not going without. Okay. If anything ever got to a point where my kids were going to be going without for whatever reason, then it would get figured out. Okay. So I'm not going to go and compromise my values so that I can be more comfortable. It's not going to happen. I have faith and trust in God, and throughout my entire life, I have seen many miracles performed by Him, and He has saved me and helped me many, many times, and I'm sure He will continue to do so. And I don't worry about money, because money is a worldly thing. Money is the love of money is the root of all evil. And when you let money control your life, you're probably not on a righteous path. I don't let money control my life. And if you hate me for that, or if you think less of me because of that, then that sucks, I guess. But that's just, what makes sense to me. So there's those people who say, because I always make comments about the rallies and the standouts, well, the rallies, because sometimes people call them protests, but they're not really protests, they're rallies. About the rallies being on Saturdays or in front of the State House on a weekend or in the middle of the Commons on a weekend. And I don't like it. Like, I'll go and network with people, sure. And, this past Saturday I went and I sponsored the rally. I helped organize it a little bit and make some connections, amongst the gun people. And, I had a table there and I spoke. And, it's good for networking and, meeting people and getting information and informing others. But it's not effective in a way that it's raising public awareness. It's not effective in a way that it's putting pressure on public officials. And those two things are the most important things: to put pressure on public officials and to raise public awareness. So when everybody's all riled up and saying, like, we're going to go to the State House on a Saturday and scream at the top of our lungs about how mad we are and have some speakers rile us up and have us yell America first, like on a Saturday. Okay. It's too bad that even half of this crowd couldn't be here on a weekday to interrupt the workday of these officials who don't give a shit about you being here on a Saturday when they're not here. And I've gotten met with, tons of people on the internet and off of the internet saying, well, these people have work. These people have jobs. These people, people can't just miss work to go yell in the streets. Well, then enjoy, the road to communism that we're on. Because when are you going to decide that, going out and doing a public demonstration and getting visibility for a cause is important enough to take a day off of work? Raising public awareness and putting pressure on public officials is the only effective tool in the situation that we're in right now. The only effective tool besides the other obvious effective tool. So we're not going to vote our way out of this here. That's not going to happen, especially when we don't have any candidates to vote for. So everybody needs to be doing public demonstrations. Everybody needs to be creating public awareness. If you are not meeting 20 new people a week and getting them involved in what's going on, you're not doing enough. If you don't think that taking a day off of work to be, to show up to a call for action, you're not doing enough. You need to take a step back and probably work on your patterns of thinking a little bit, because your paycheck's not going to matter when you're in a 15-minute city with no car and you need a permit to travel outside of your 15-minute city. Your paycheck's not going to matter. When you can't afford your mortgage anymore and you have to move into a tiny apartment in one of these massive buildings, you're going to wish you took a day off of work to take a stand against it. When it's 50 years from now and we're living in a communist country and we're enslaved and we own nothing, and your grandchildren are asking you what you did to try to fight this, what are you going to tell them? So you did a one-click email? Did you make a phone call to a voicemail that nobody's going to listen to? Did you stand outside in front of the State House on a Saturday while the building's empty? That's the truth. That's the reality, is that if you want freedom, you have to actually fight for it. But yeah, so I am way past due to get off of here tonight. and it's been on here for an hour. And like I said, I want to be more consistent with posting and trying to post some type of media, like at least every day or every other day or something. And I think this is a conversation that hopefully is going to be had again and hopefully with somebody else. And hopefully, instead of people getting offended by it, we could just make it a conversation, because it's not my intention to offend people and piss them off and make them walk away. It's my intention to get you to think about it. Like, I don't have a job. So sometimes, yeah, I have all the time in the world. I can go out things during the day when other people have to work. I get it. Okay. I don't think that I'm being unreasonable when I say pick a day, take it off of work, you do something on a weekday where it's going to get seen, where you're going to actually cause a conversation. I don't think that that's unreasonable. And if you do, like, can we have a conversation about it instead of you just writing me off? But yeah, I think that's all I have for tonight. Sorry if this was a boring conversation. I don't know. Or if it's stuff that I say all the time and I don't say it well, so people don't take it well. I don't know. But let's have a conversation instead of just, you just writing me off, because I've been effective. So, and I don't say that to brag or to try to put myself on a pedestal or act like I'm better than anybody else or give myself any kind of praise in any way. But me and the very small group of people that I work with, we have been effective. We have made things happen. There was a law put in place to stop us from doing what we were doing because we were so effective. So you can dog me all you want for being on welfare and dog me all you want for not working or having a suspended license or arguing with a police officer or, and it's not really arguing with a police officer. It's kind of like just not letting somebody trample all over my rights just because they have a uniform on. Everybody sees that as arguing, but I digress and I lose my train of thought completely. I don't even know where I was going. I don't even remember what I was just saying. Like, why there's people walking around right now at midnight. I don't even know, but they're dropping things. I don't know what's happening. Yeah. So, I was saying that we've been effective. So you can dog me all you want, but please send me your list of accomplishments and I'll send you mine and we can compare and go from there and trade ideas and best practices, because I don't see anything else happening in Massachusetts outside of what the very small group of us have done. I don't see much else. And I'm going to get off here now because I'm rambling and I keep repeating the same thing over and over again. Again, I am live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and Instagram. I still haven't figured out Instagram. I'm very new to Rumble. Please go subscribe and follow my other platforms other than the one that you're watching me on. And Yeah, I think I'm done here. I don't think that the 30 people watching are going to comment. As always, thank you to the trolls and haters for giving me visibility. That's why they dog you, because you're effective and it makes them angry. On the left and right and in between. You're effective. It makes them angry on the left and right and in between. Feel inadequate. Yep. Yeah. But I wish that instead of writing me off and dogging me, people would just join me. We don't have to love each other, but we can learn from each other. Okay? So I'm gonna go now. I have to go home now. I'm gonna go home now. And if you want to get in touch with me, go to boston2boston.com, T-O, boston2boston.com, and sign up for email updates. I haven't sent out an email in a long time. So this is a good point to make right now. If you've ever signed up for email updates with me, I haven't sent out an email in a very long time to my email list. And I am going to be working on that this week. I just got pushed into having to work on my email list this week. So I will definitely be getting an email out, hopefully by the end of the weekend. So check your spam folders next week and look for an update from me, because there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. Okay. So please, I don't care who you are. I don't care if I offend you. I don't care if you don't like my tactics. I don't care if we didn't get along in the past or we decided not to work together before, whatever. There's so much going on. Everybody needs to have all hands in at this point. Please, even if we've disconnected at some point for whatever reason, please reconnect and let's get going. I can't. It's stressing me out how much is going on, written down on the piece of paper in front of me. So if you want to get involved and actually want to be effective, please reach out to me or go to my website, boston2boston.com, sign up for an email, and I'm going to be sending an email out next week. And I need people. Okay. People need to step up. People need to get involved. Let's all be effective in Massachusetts. Please. Please. Okay. I'm going to go now. Good night. Thank you for watching. Thank you, 2 people for commenting. And I will probably see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I am having a pro-life debate live. I will be on here with somebody who's pro-choice, and we will be having a debate. So I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.